Hello everyone. In today's episode, we have Mr. Frank Noronha. Mr. Noronha belongs to the Indian Information Service of 1982 batch. He retired in 2018. He has the privilege of working with the Prime Minister's office for nearly 6 years, serving four Prime Ministers, namely Rajiv Gandhi, VP Singh, Chandrasekhar, and PV Narasimha Rao sir. He was also the Deputy Press Secretary to the President of India with Dr. Shankar Dayal Sharma. Prior to his retirement, he held the post of Principal Director General at Press Information Bureau, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Government of India, and was also the principal spokesperson to the Government of India during Mr. Narendra Modi's tenure as Prime Minister. Post-retirement, he is now settled in Bangalore and continues to be associated with the central government in various capacities. Today, in this freewheeling discussion with Indian Masterminds, Mr. Noronha will talk about highlights of his career and takeaways for budding bureaucrats. Welcome to you, sir. Welcome to Indian Masterminds.
Thank you, Raghav Goel. It is indeed a pleasure to be on your portal. And I'm given to understand that you have started this recently, especially in the context of pandemic that we are going through. Is a very relevant, move to start portals like this and, be available to people with regard to news and so many other things. I wish you every good in your endeavor. Thanks for having me on your show.
So, sir, starting the conversation, I want to go back in time when you were a child. So, sir, can you give me a little insight? How was your childhood and whom did you look up to as a child?
You're really walking me down the memory lane.
Right.
My childhood was uneventful. There was nothing very significant, but it is also significant in the sense that I was a son of teachers. Both my parents were teachers. And I did the schooling like any other normal child. There were no major milestones or anything. I was an average student. In fact, at the end of schooling, I scored so less, getting a seat in the science stream was difficult, So the only thing I recall about my childhood very fondly is my family was everything to me. We were a very loving family, very ordinary family. And I looked up to my mother, my father as my ideals. They gave me a lot of affection. I don't remember that I had any lack, though we were middle-class people. And life was normal, And of course, I remember my mother very fondly, lovingly. She was the pillar of the house and she did everything. So, and there was no hierarchy at home. We were three children, not one was treated bigger or smaller or anything. There was a kind of a democracy at home. So maybe I imbibed that as I went on. Yeah.
So, sir, growing up, did you have you face any struggles in education? Did you have any language barriers in your initial?
Yeah. After my schooling, Hassan is a place in Karnataka. It was a district at that time. You don't have very high intellectual, in the sense, English-speaking crowd. Though I studied in English medium school, for all practical purposes to exchange our friendly chat and our emotions, the medium was the language of the state, Kannada. And in fact, if you spoke in English, you were considered somebody very uppity. It was not encouraged, except in the school, we don't talk in English. We talk in our mother tongue or the state language. So what happened after that, I was transported to Bangalore because my parents wanted me to do well. And at last I got a seat in St. Joseph's College. Since they were in Hassan, I had to find a place to stay. So they decided to put me in the hostel. Now, hostel was full of people who were from the European background. They would converse in English, they chat in English. So at some point, I felt a little inferior, but at the same time, the way I was brought up, my pride was that, if they know English, so what? I know my language. But then practically, there were a lot of issues. So I went to this warden of mine, who was a highly erudite, educated Jesuit priest, Father Julian Fernandez. And I told him, see, I don't fit in this atmosphere. I think I would like to go back and join some first grade college or something like that. So, but he saw me intently and said, see, your parents, out of their hard earnings, they wanted you to do well and they have put you here. So my invitation to you is that stay for 3 months. Let's see what happens. Then afterwards, if you don't get adjusted, you can go back. So, but believe me, after 3 months, I forgot about English and everything because the education imparted was of a very high level and they take personal interest in you. I used to attend extra coaching classes and I developed a deep interest in study for the first time. I was, as I said, not a very high scorer in my high school, but suddenly this interest came to me. You would believe me if I say I scored 98% in the first year of pre-university in a subject called logic. That was one of my subjects. And when I completed my college after 5 years there, I was a gold medalist in economics and political science, and I took part in debates, athletics. So, and also I remember side by side, some directly or indirectly, free thinking was encouraged in that college. So I started questioning so many things. Then in all this, the English language and learning, everything was forgotten. I was quite at ease with it. And I'm telling this to you not to boast myself. A person who is born in a kind of village surroundings, though it was a district, rose to work in the highest office in the country, both the Prime Minister's office and the President's office. And I wrote speeches for the President and some draft speeches for the Prime Minister. I think it's an achievement, and persons who are in a kind of my mold will easily get me whatever I'm trying to say. So I understand how the language of your peers is very important that you learn. And much more importantly, you should have that self-esteem. No matter what, you can learn anything you want. You can learn anything you want if you make up your mind.
Right, sir.
So this is something I usually share with youngsters, so that their self-esteem is not affected because of their circumstances.
So, sir, as you told me, you were a pretty average student till your schooling, and you gained your momentum when you went to Bangalore and studied in that college. And so, where did you get the motivation to appear for civil services exam, and how was your journey to ace it?
You see, I told you at the end of my college, because I was in the hostel, we were a bunch of boys always discussing philosophy, and I became more philosophical than an academic. Then soon after my graduation, I didn't want to continue my post-graduation. I thought better to be a gardener or, some small business and live a simple, ordinary life. And at that time, there was a philosopher called J. Krishnamurti who made a deep impact on me. So I used to hear him somewhere. I heard, joining defense is violence, sir, he used to say. So I gave up this whole idea of joining the government because it has a defense department and I didn't want to be violent. And as a young man in the college, apart from everything I did, my foremost objective, I don't know, it came to me very naturally, how to live a conflict-free, peaceful life, no matter what happens to you. Why do I get affected? Why do I feel nervous? You know, why do I hate somebody? Can't I be peaceful? This was my background, so to say. So soon after the college, I was not seriously looking for a job. And then I was associated with Osho Rajneesh people there. I was interested. And one of them offered me a job in his textile shop as a general manager. That's the first shock. I'll tell you how I got it. After 1 month, I expected a salary. I didn't get it. But after 1.5 months, I got a currency note of just 200 rupees from working from morning till almost night. So I took it and I felt very bad. You have certain qualities, not that you don't have, you can earn a better salary. So I decided any job I would get will be better than this. Okay. And of course, this was, since I told you, a little spiritual and philosophical minded. I thanked them. Maybe if I had not worked there, I would not have thought of it. I mean, looking back, you see. So I was angry at the first instance. Then I said, the events so conspire themselves to your higher, level of being. So this may be one dot which is very helpful. So I started thanking those people who I was angry with and all that. And then another person told me, why don't you sell tea leaves? He said, because his business was that he used to buy tea leaves at wholesale and supply to customers, institutions. So I said, okay, let me try. So 2 months I tried and I was more or less happy. I thought I will make a big business out of it and all that. Then once it so happened when I supplied a box of tea leaves to an institution, they were a little annoyed. You see, the tea is not of good quality and even the charges are more, though I was keeping nominal profit. That set me to thinking, yeah, this is also not my cup of tea. I couldn't take that because I felt I was a very honest guy and I was making legitimate profit. How come? And tea I buy from the same source. So that was another incident. Okay. And the third incident was, as I told you, I was interested in philosophy and all. I met a philosopher called U.G. Krishnamurti, on whom I have written 2 books also. He played a very significant role in my life from the beginning. Meeting him was like meeting my ideal of a god. You see, the abundance, the freedom with which he used to speak. So when he saw me as a young person coming and sitting with him, he says, "Are you not working?" I said, "I'm working, but this is not really suiting me." So he said, "Why don't you try something in the government? It is possible. You have sterling qualities. You have good intelligence." Because I used to discuss with him and all these things. So he was one of the important influencer in my life for getting into civil services. After that, I remember I was walking one of the streets in Bangalore where all these books were displayed, competition, success review. I picked up one of them. Then I started dreaming, how if I will be a district magistrate, how nice it will be. I can do something. I'll be amidst people. And I also told UD, see, I don't want to join government because of the defense and the conflict and the violence, all that is there. he said, "You are a damn fool. Every stamp you buy, part of it goes for different expenditure. Every article of utility or consumption you buy, it is taxed, and out of that tax, some goes to defense. So you can't escape. You have to accept the reality as it is imposed upon you." Okay. So that convinced me. And then, of course, I started preparing for the exam. In Bangalore, there was at that time not much awareness about civil services. Even I myself didn't go through any organized way of learning. Later, I learned in Delhi, there are so many institutes, people start from pre-university only. So I just took a fling. Maybe, I studied very well for prelims. And in the first attempt only, I got through the prelims. But believe me, as I said, there was no awareness. I was so happy that I really didn't prepare well for the main examination. So I didn't make it. But I recall that I got very high marks even there. They used to send us the marks in political science. But in the second attempt, I understood, you shouldn't waste attempts like this. And joining an institute was beyond my means. They were all expensive. I was walking civil services, talking civil services. Even in the washroom, I was reading, whatever books I could get on. And I made it. I have no regrets. I have made it.
Right,
You
sir.
see? I got
So,
selected for Indian Information Service. One moment I remember, my dad, there was a day I had to get my results. We used to subscribe for these Hindu paper, Pat, it came and fell. I used to sleep in the living room. Then when I opened, I saw civil services results. So in the first paragraph, there was no name of mine. Second, there was no name of mine. Somewhere around third or fourth, I saw Frank Noronha. Suddenly, my heart, which had stopped beating, started beating. Wow, I got a job. I got selected for the civil services. And when my father came to know, that scene is vivid in my mind. He was just a teacher. He was so happy that we didn't know, which service we will get or something. We all thought we got into the topmost service. His son got into the topmost service. He went to neighbors with that paper showing, look, my son has made it in civil services, So that moment still is vivid in my mind.